Good Monday evening, everybody. How you doing on this fine Monday? I'm Manny Vitale, host of My Fight Our War and co-host of Music and Mayhem with my brother Skylar Ray. And it's Monday.
Mhm.
Not only is that, it's Monday the 24th. And which means it's only one thing. It's time for a special guest to come on. And we definitely have someone I'm looking forward to talking to. We are going to be chatting with Jeremy Ross. And we've talked a few times, and it's from that first conversation.
Mhm.
OG was there. She, we had it on speaker, and as soon as I got done talking, I go, "This is going to be good," because he's got a ton of energy, passion, which we have to have, man, when we're dealing with what we're dealing with. But not only that, we have a lot in common, him and myself, as far as the biker world goes. And we're going to be touching a lot of things, and we're not going to be touching on some things much at all at this time. So those of you who know what I'm talking about know exactly what I'm talking about. We'll just leave that at that.
The rest are lost.
But, we can't get this thing started, without the the originator of the show, the star of the show. And we'll explain that in a second. So without further ado, before her people get mad, let's bring OG in here.
Okay.
And
He's got a little story to tell you.
yeah, but you know what though? We're not gonna keep that just with us. We're gonna bring our guest on here too and have a little fun before we get this going. So without further ado, man, I just want to thank Jeremy again. Jeremy has been part of the family for a bit now. He saw interview I did with Ian Bick, and just hit a chord, man. And next thing you know, reached out and we've been chit chatting, and one thing led to another, and it's like, listen, got to come on the show. So without further ado, here's Jeremy Ross. How you doing, brother?
Oh, brother, doing well. How are you guys?
We are good. We are good. Just giving a little chit chat here, and figured bring you on too because we have to kind of enlighten some people about our show, because I wasn't aware of the honor that I have, and that is because I was recognized at a restaurant.
Public. Yes, he was.
From the show, but I was recognized from being the guy that's on OG's show, and it was just like, and I kind of caught me up. And you tell the story. It was your friend.
It was a young man, Steve Hoppy, who I've known since he's 34, 35, and I've known him since he was like 9. And he saw Manny walk past, and then I walked past because I was behind him getting something at this table. And he said, "Miss Lynn," because that's what he called me. "Miss Lynn, oh, I thought that was that guy from your show." I said, "I thought I recognized him." I said, "Yeah, that's Manny." He said, "Oh, that's so nice that he's here." Yeah. And I thought, I can't wait to tell Manny that he recognized him from my show.
That's awesome. That's going to be a running joke for a long time.
Exactly. It all depends on who's watching.
And I'm the first one to tell it, man, because I love it. Because I've said from day one, yes, I formed this amazing family and created this family, and I host it. But it's never been I and me. Never. It's always been us and we. And that just proved it. But it was so funny because she was just like, "Oh yeah, he recognized you from the show." Like, "Oh well, that's nice." From my show. Like,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
So, anyways, as everyone knows, OG is going to be doing the OG thing here. So we're going to pop her into the green room and let the fun begin.
See you later.
So bye. All right. Well, let's see. It's one of those things where right now it's just like, where do we even start? I mean,
yeah, right on.
So much, but where we start is by me definitely thanking you, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, man. Because those of us who gone through what we've all gone through, it's not easy, man. And to get to the point in our lives in this situation where we think enough of ourselves now at this point where, listen, it's time to share, because by my sharing my story, I'm going to help somebody. And that's the beautiful thing about My Fight Our War and all the other ones. So Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's an honor. And I love what you guys are doing over here. I think it's divine appointment that I was able to see what I seen. And, I look forward to sharing where I'm at now and what I've walked through, what God's drugged me through.
Yeah.
I actually listened to a interview. I think it was Johnny, and I think it was the first interview I watched. And as you hear my story, it's so close to his. It's crazy. He was giving me chills as he was speaking. But yeah, what God's drugged me through, and people need to hear it. And because I know a lot of folks, if they've not experienced addiction themselves, they know someone in their family that has. So
Oh,
super important to be able to see folks that have made it past it and that can say they've made it through it, you know?
yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, there's addiction is just running rapid, and and we're not inventing the wheel here by My Fight Our War and what we're doing. We are here to help, just like all the other organizations and families are. And like I said, people have been around for years, man. The traditional AA and all Al-Anon and all these other amazing people who have been around for years. But for whatever reason, addiction, mental health issues get swept under the rug. And you know what? Enough. And it takes something to happen to somebody to finally just say, "That's it. Fuck this. It's enough is enough." People need to hear the story. And when you talk about addiction, some people it's like taboo. They don't want to talk about it out loud. No, man, it needs to be discussed like the disease, just like with cancer, diabetes, ALS, MS.
Mhm.
Addiction needs to be on the forefront, just like that. So, but
Absolutely.
so right now, Jeremy,
Absolutely.
let's hear a little bit about you. Where are you
Yeah.
from?
Yeah. So I was, so basically from Michigan. I was born here in Lapeer. I grew up in Oxford until fifth grade. And then, my parents were divorced, at a young age. And, my mom moved down to Tennessee to work at the, Saturn plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee. So I actually stayed here for a few years with my old man, and my sister moved down with my mom. And then I shortly moved down. I think it was a couple of years. I think I ended up moving down to Tennessee, and I lived in Tennessee from the sixth grade until I graduated high school. And then I moved back to Michigan when I was about 20. But we can get into more details later. I'll give you a little bit about I'm 43. My wife and I are married 17 years to my beautiful wife Danielle. I have two
Congratulations.
sons. Yeah. Oh yeah. Amen. Amen. You don't hear that very often these days.
No.
So yeah, thank God for it. That's for sure. We've had our ups and downs, but through the Holy Spirit of God, He's kept us locked together. And but yeah, so my oldest boy is Noah. He's 19, and then Jeremy Jr. He'll be 17 this year. We live out here in Emily City, Michigan, and we got 10 acres. And
Nice.
yeah, we love it out here, bro. We got a little motocross track out back, and the boys got 450 dirt bikes, and we like everything that goes fast. Noah's into drifting. He got into drifting a couple of years ago, so we're going to really hit home on that this year. He actually made the last event last season, and it was exhilarating to say the least. I think I enjoyed it more than he did.
Oh
So
my God.
uh, it was amazing. It's amazing to be in something that's going 60, 80 miles an hour sideways around a track is invigorating for sure. Like
Oh,
I would
yeah.
recommend it to anybody, to be honest.
It's that it's that uncontrolled chaos that is something that I understand, and it's kind of like a lot of us understand the wild, chaotic lives and that we live. It kind of fits in with that, but it's like a controlled chaos, up to a point.
Absolutely.
But,
Absolutely.
that's awesome, especially when you have something such as this where you get to share the experiences with your kids.
Oh yeah.
As we know nowadays, man, a lot of times all you see are the kids doing this, or not the family all sitting around the table, on their phones, iPads, or whatever. So for you to be able to do that with your sons, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. And then just to be out here in Emily City, it's a great community, just farmland. That's all it is. It's farmland around us. So we don't see any building being done anytime soon. So it's our forever home. Danielle and we basically bought our dream home in all reality, have a little bit of property, be able to hunt. And we do CNC woodwork on the side. I have a barn out back, and Danielle and I about 5 years ago got into, I'm a CNC machinist by trade. I actually, I'm an aerospace machinist at Triumph Gear here in the Macomb County, or in Macomb, Michigan. So it just kind of came natural to me. I met a guy that was into building CNC wood router machines. So I just fell in love with it. So we started out with a tabletop, and then I ended up buying a big machine from overseas, and took us a while to get it going, but we're finally starting to get it going and back to programming and making chips again. So kind of like a retirement plan for the wife and I. So
Nice.
yeah, we're always busy doing something, whether it's working or playing or whatever.
Hey man, at least between that and that with the kids too, because you know what they say about that idle mind. So
Oh man, you got
and,
that right.
and
Yeah.
boy, I tell you what, we know that. Well, I can only speak for myself, but oof, yeah, it's
Yeah.
happened.
Well, a lot of folks like to, when they think of addiction, it's almost like they go right into alcohol or right into drugs or right into this, right? There's a lot of things that the human mind lusts after, right? And that could be pornography. It could be anything that, can lead us away, basically. And so what's crazy is a brother where I work with just brought up to my attention the other day is he heard a story of a family here in Detroit at the MGM, or I can't remember which casino. You guys might have heard of it, maybe OG as well. That the kids dying in the car,
They
and the
froze to
mom was
death.
froze. Did you guys hear about that?
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
The mom was in gambling, and she had been down there, and then I guess we're hearing also that she was literally like staying down there for like weeks at a time.
See,
It was like, wow, what?
Yeah, there's a couple different stories we're hearing. I didn't hear that one at all. I mean, I heard the
Oh,
one
okay.
about now the one this what we heard and what we saw on Channel 4, and that could be two different stories. So I'm just going to
Right.
go back. But what you said, the one was they were in a van. There were a bunch of kids, and they reached out, but she was staying there to. They were homeless. So this is a story. Like I said, it's a little bit back and forth. And the two, I think a
Don't know the truth.
9-year-old and a 2 or 3-year-old.
They were
So
young.
very
something
young,
like that.
very young.
Very young.
Yeah. So there was conflicting stories on that, but yeah, man. I mean, it's just these stories. They're heartbreaking.
Oh man, and that right there, it just proves the, gambling, right? I mean, or what I'm saying? Like there's other things that can, lead us to life altering addictions is what we like to say, right? Because anything that controls your responsibilities or what you takes over of your responsibilities, So yeah, so basically, yeah, that's God led me to get out here, and I do ministry at the jails and stuff, but we can get into that much later if we want to just start out, and we'll just start out right from the beginning.
Yeah.
I started there, but I kind of wanted, like you said, give you an over where I'm at now, my age and all that good stuff. But
Well, no, that's good. What we want to do is get the background and all that with the family and show you where we are now, which is a testament to where you were to where you are. So that's a great thing.
Absolutely.
But,
Absolutely.
The thing is, with My Fight or War, we're here because of that, that damn evil road of addiction that we stumble upon. And for you, what was that like for you? When did your life start to change? Like, first of all, we all dabble and experiment. How did drugs and alcohol come into your life to be an issue?
Well, if I'm going to just back up just a little bit before that, just because it's so important. So I'll just do that. Okay. So basically, I'll start from when I moved down to Tennessee, because I had a great childhood. It was great. My parents, even after the divorce, we flew back and forth on all the holidays. My dad's big into hunting and fishing, always been that, good dad and that. And then my mom met an awesome, my stepdad's amazing, been a big part of my life for 30 years. They're almost married 30 years. But anyway, just had a great childhood. When I moved down to Tennessee, I ended up going to a Christian private school. Got into a little, going from being a Yankee, we'll call it, to down south. It was tough, bro. In 6th grade, this was 96, or what was it? No, that's way before that. See, I was 96. I'm in 9th grade. So 3 years before the 93, something like that, moving down from being a Michigander to Tennessee, where, they made fun of the way we talked, and you know what I'm saying? It was tough. Right. And, so yeah, I got into some scuffles in public school right off the rip because I wasn't backing down. And, and my sister had been attending this Christian Heritage Academy. There may be some people that are tapping in. I posted on my Facebook that I still keep in contact with. I have a teacher, Mrs. Scruggs and Mrs. Eller, that till this day, right, that I can't communicate with on Facebook. So Christian Heritage was an awesome part of my life. I was a big athlete, all sports. I played all sports, baseball, basketball, football. I was part of the first football team at Christian Heritage. They ended up playing for a few more years, and then they basically shut down. But A lot of them teachers went to another Christian school in Columbia called Zion, which is this is a school that we played my whole high school career, like in all the sports or whatever. So, but no, it was great, man. I graduated. I scored 2,000 points in my high school career in basketball. I loved basketball. And then that's what happened. So after that, I was actually in the delayed entry program for the Marine Corps. And so a big part of it is I got at the school. I was dating a girl that was she had a college something going on for college. She needed to use the school computers. And so we went back to the school to use them. Well, I was going around writing my name on the book, and I used to call it Jeremy the Bomb Ross when I was in high school, right? And I used to put it on everything, and you know, just being a kid, right? So we go back. She's working on this project or whatnot, and I'm going around to my teachers and writing this stuff on the board. Well, the next morning, a teacher she comes into the room, and all she sees is bomb. So she literally calls the bombs. They call in a bomb threat, right? So I'm at home the next day, sleeping like a baby. My mom wakes me up and says, "Jeremy, your phone, they're calling the house," or I don't remember how my mom had the phone call or received the phone call, but she said, "There's a cop that wants to talk to you." And the guy's like, "Jeremy, do you have a bomb in Christian?" I'm like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's something about a bomb in this room, you know, that you put a bomb." I said, "Absolutely not." Right. So he's like, "Well, can you come up here?" So sure as heck I do. As soon as I get there, they arrest me, take me to jail. Right. So, and it was a miscommunication because obviously there wasn't that. And I never really was officially charged, but I ended up having to go to court and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of the kids I probably graduated with probably thinking, "Oh, that's just a bomb threat kid," or whatever. Right. But yeah, it was crazy. I had to share that just because that was like right after I graduated high school. Right. So yeah, pretty crazy. Yeah, it was nuts. And here I'm waking up, bomb threat. I'm just thinking, what in the heck are you talking about? I was totally off guard, right? Because I used to joke and stuff in high school and, whatever all the time about being the bomb and this and that, right? So anyway, yeah, so it didn't it did follow me a little bit, as I get further into my story here. It'll, they brought it up. It was on my jacket. So anyway, I get out. I was in the delayed entry program for the Marine Corps. Well, when I got out of high school is when 9/11 hit. So I graduated in 2000. So 2001, 9/11. And I was whipping it up pretty good at that point because of when I got out of school, I had that short period of time, and the girl I had dated for a couple of years, she was going off to college, and I was going to go to boot camp. So there was like this intermission time that I guess my mind told me that I had to party a little bit before I went to the military. I'm like, okay, I'm a good boy and graduated from a Christian school, and my friends are kind of experiencing the world and this and that. Well, this is when the rave scene was really hot. Well, it was about towards the end of it, right? So the raves in Nashville were like, and you guys probably have heard about raves, and this is where the Johnny he was more up in Chicago, Detroit area, but it was in that same era or whatnot of time to where the rave scene was really big. Underground is what they called it. And it was like an underground. It's a totally different world, right? And it operates from like Thursday night at 11 o'clock until like Sunday's after party. And somewhere in Nashville, somebody would be having some kind of party afterwards, but it's basically a 2 to 3 day party, right? So anyway, we had a couple friends, me and my brother Josh Duckett. He graduated a year before me, and he was dating another girl, and they were staying in the town just working and this and that. And I was actually working for his mom. She owned a dog grooming right there in town. And so when I got out, I was waiting to go to basic. I was actually working for her washing dogs and that type of stuff. Well, during that time, I started experiencing a little bit of drugs. Kathy enjoyed partying, this and that. And then we had a couple buddies say, "Hey, you guys got to come to Nashville and check out these clubs," And I'm like, "Man, dude, I hadn't really smoked any weed or any of that kind of stuff at that point. I was an athlete, right?" And, I'm not saying that nothing ever happened or tried, but it was nothing. It wasn't a part of my life at all. So this was all new to me, right? So we go to this club, and it was crazy because my brother's no longer here. Rest in peace, Josh Duckett, and that's who I'm speaking of. We went to this club, and we take ecstasy, and from him, when he looks at me and tells me, "Jeremy, we were meant to do this," right? And that's burned in my memory for my whole life, especially now when I look back at it, right? Because Josh died in his sin, I'll call it, right? Josh died overdosed, right? And so that's what I do for. Not that I'm going to go on a tangent or nothing, but this is why I do what I do, because there's people that can't take it back, right? We can still, we can help others. We can, minister folks. We can, as it's so needed, right? So anyway, so when my brother looked at me and we're in this dark club, music going crazy, and he looks at me in the eyes and tells me we're meant to do this, right? It was crazy. So what's the craziest point about this whole story at the beginning of is we went from being good Christian boys, we'll call it, right, to doing what we're supposed to be doing, to now we're going to be introduced to kingpins of Nashville, honest to God, like guys that were literally importing hundreds of XX pills, tons of Tina, which we is methamphetamine, just anything you want, all the psychedelics, anything that you could get. All of a sudden, me and Josh and a group of friends are being introduced to these kind of people. Well, Josh's mom ran a dog grooming business, right? So he's hearing there was a drug that the veterinarians use called ketamine. And because he was a dog groomer, she knew about it, and so she knew the skinny. I'm not going to go into too detail on all of this, right? So, but she knew where to get it from. So, like Brother Johnny said, that he had friends that were got in trouble for breaking into veterinarian clinics, right? So I was actually convicted of 2 of those down in Tennessee, and that's what I actually got my time for, but that's a little bit down the story. So anyway, so Josh and I, we meet these guys, and all of a sudden we know where to get something that everybody's looking for. So basically everybody wanted to know us. So we got to meet all the right people that we thought at that point. Obviously it was all the wrong people, but so for the next year and a half, it was a free for all, hotel to hotel, partying, and surprised I'm, breathing, right? The amount of drugs we consumed and just the whipping it up that we did is absolutely crazy. I could go for another hour just on crazy stories, just in a little bit of time, right? Just living life in the fast lane. Closest I can think, it was be like being a rock star, right? There's no money. It didn't matter the money, and the money we were making and the things that we were doing, it just didn't matter, right? There was nobody holding us accountable. And so anyways, I ended up catching a couple cases for breaking into veterinarian clinics. And at that time, I had already, when I ended up getting convicted, let's go into a little, I wanted to share a little bit more about Josh. So there was a year and a half where I partied, whipped it up in Nashville. And then I ended up, my mom, I think it was my grandma passing away. She said, Jeremy, I need you to come up, be a pallbearer up in Michigan. And I'm like, okay, I need my car up here. So she flew up here. So I came up here, was going to do the funeral, but I was in full out crazy addiction at that point. So I ended up bombing my grandma's funeral and rolling back to Tennessee. So yeah, that one took a long time to forgive myself, and the stupid things that we do, honoring, our grandparents and the, people that come before us, So, so anyway, I ended up taking off and going back down and still into the same bull crap that I was into. Well, then my mom's like, Jeremy, I don't know if it was a phone call or I stopped to see her. And she said, Jeremy, you got to get out of here. You got to get back up to Michigan and start working with your dad. You're going to die. There's crazy. Because my mom was always my best friend. I told her things that my mom probably never wanted to hear. Right. That was that mama's boy that I didn't, was never afraid to run stuff by my mom. Right. I knew she was going to give me the 100% truth. And, and I never really cared if it embarrassed her, I guess, so she's just like, look, son, you got to get up. Your dad get you in working and this and that. And so that's what I did. I moved up here and started working. I got my cousin was in the roofing business, and my dad had a couple buddies in the roofing business. And we have a real good friend, Brian Barker, was working for a big roofing company up here, Royal Roofing. And I ended up working for them guys for almost all the way up until I got locked up. So anyways, I move up here and I end up working with the first company I work with is actually my father-in-law. So it was a running joke when I was working with him. He's like, oh, I'm going to have to introduce you to my stepdaughter, this and that. Right. And I ended up marrying the girl. Right. So it was pretty crazy. And then what's even crazier is about now is that our parents were at each other's weddings. So it come to find out, it's like here, just what a small world, right? Like of all the people that I can move back up here I mean, we didn't start dating until like a couple years after that. You know, it was more of a joke. She had actually had a boyfriend that was working on the same crew, but I think he was just trying to ruffle his feathers. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to introduce Jeremy to Danielle and this and that, and it ended up happening. So it's pretty cool.
Talk
Yeah,
about
and
meant to be, huh? I mean,
oh man,
when it's meant to be, it doesn't matter what you want or I want. When it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
yeah, divine appointment, and you know, and as
Yeah.
I go further on, and the story is just the plot thickens, right? And just that is, I'd say it all. I'm a miracle walking, brother. Just to be honest, like what I've been through and what God's pulled me through is just it doesn't make sense, right? Especially when I'm looking at these names that I want to share that they didn't get that. Why, you know, people ask that question. Well, why, you know, why them and not you? You know, so it's a very good question. I think it's all the only answer to that is to be prepared and have a relationship with God, right? Be you know, we're not promised tomorrow. You know what I mean? It could come in any way. Death has no name, right? It could come from a car accident, whatever it is. And when that's why, like I said, with this addiction thing is, you know, people are just making it a lot easier on themselves too, unalive themselves, basically, you know.
And you know what, Jeremy, the thing you just said about the names and the whys and how comes and all those things, I had the same thing, man. Me being, you know, shot, stabbed, all that thing happened to me. Organ failure happened to me. And I had my brother, I climbed in bed and held him when he died. Same thing you just said. I said, why them? Why not me? And best way to put it is what I was told. Well, man, it's called survivor's remorse. By that list of names that you have, by me saying the names, we keep their names and their memories alive. So this doesn't all go in vain.
Amen. Absolutely. Well said. Yeah, I think that's super important too. And so I'm a king of the bouncing around in conversation. So if you just got to string me back if whatever. But so anyways, so I moved back up to Michigan. I meet my wife. Her and I start dating, this and that. And right as we're about to get, let's just see. So we're gonna go in. I break my back. I fall 25 feet from a deer stand. My old man, him and I lived in a property out here in Leonard, Michigan, and basically he asked me to put up a tree stand. So I got off of work. Him and I went up there. Well, it was a faulty nylon strap, and my dad watched me fall 25, 30 feet and break my back. Oh yeah, and I believe Danielle was pregnant with Noah, our oldest son at the time when it happened. Yeah, it was bad, dude. I literally I was off of work for almost 10 months. I was 23, so the way that it broke, it was just a bunch of hairline cracks, and it was like the perfect situation to not have to go in and pins and screws and stuff. Like I had fractures on L2 and 3, or 2, 3, and 4, I believe. And but anyway, they ended up custom making this brace, and Danielle had to, like, I tell you what, man, when you have to rely on somebody else to help you in the bathroom and wash your body, absolutely.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know, it's like, wow, this is now unreal, right? That's how you really know someone loves you, right?
No,
She's proved that
man.
our whole marriage.
Yeah, that's
You know,
so true, brother.
all right, so this is where the major, like, I think I had a taste for the, you know, being out wanting to get high or party or whatever, because from the first stories, the rave scene and a lot of that living, you know, because I think it's not like a lot of that too was addicted to the money and the lifestyle, right? Like you're at clubs and partying, and you know what I mean? It's the fast lane, right? It's rock star status, kind of like, you know, do as you will, do as thou wilt, right? So anyway, so breaking my back, you know, I really wasn't on anything like all the time. Prior to that, it was just more of, you know, out partying, doing lines or whatever, right? It wasn't an everyday thing. So anyway, I break my back, so I'm laid up for this amount of time. I gained like 60 pounds because I couldn't lift nothing. So you know, it was really awesome because my family, they did a big benefit and everybody came out and supported me. And when I first fell, I thought I was going to be paralyzed. It was bad. Like looking at my dad and watching what it did to my dad, it crushed my pops. Like to see that happen, you know what I mean? It's just crazy, right? So anyways, so I'm laid up for all that time, and doctors prescribing me pain medicine, which was just the normal Loratabs, Vicodin, whatever, Loracets, whatever. And then I went back to work, and there was actually had a big lawsuit. I'll touch on that a little bit. I had to literally back out of a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Mainly my pride. I can share that now, these days is, I was living with my father-in-law, my wife, or my soon-to-be wife, or my fiance was pregnant. And I'm living under another man's roof. Right. And, it just wasn't sitting well with me. And I got this lawyer telling me, and I had Jeffrey Feiger's product liability lawyer. So anybody from around our area knows who Feiger is,
Mhm,
right?
know that.
mhm.
And Wolfgang Mueller was the guy's name, and he's known all through this area. And they had just won a case a couple years prior up in the UP, and it was literally the same company, Big Bear Mountain. So it was like in the bag, but it's like, even then, even when I didn't have the relationship I do now with God, it just didn't seem right, right? Like I'm 24 years old, 25, and now I got to act like I'm hurt. Not act like I'm hurt because I was hurt, but like,
Embellish.
that's what you got to prove that, you can't function like you should, and that you didn't heal and all that, right? So it was like, and basically it could have happened, right? But I would have had to, basically, it would have drawn out like another 2.5 years, and it was like, you can't work during that time. And it didn't seem like the ring. And I'm glad I didn't go that route. Right. So no, I just went back to work. And so that exited all that kind of stuff. So when I went back to work, I was a union roofer, right? So hot tar, TPO, PVC. We worked on all Detroit Metro schools, the library. I worked on the Kronk Gym, all over Metro Detroit. I've been all over states with Royal Roofing. So basically that type of manual labor is, it was very easy to gobble pain medicine. Right. And when the doctors started to take me off it, our first instinct is to start searching what doctors are going to give them to me. Right. Cause I have these issues. I have these MRIs, right? I have all the things I need to get what I'm looking for. I'm hurt, the woe is me. Right. You know what I mean? Well, I need this to take care of my family, and that's how I always looked at it. I was a productive addict. I'm taking all these pills, and then as I'm running out, and then I'm having to buy them and this and that. Well, I end up hooking up with a doctor right here in Detroit, on the east side of Detroit. He was writing me 6 months at a time. And oh yeah. And they were, so at this point, after all that, I was on how she was writing me 90, 80 milligram oxys and 150 Norcos a month for a long time. It was a couple years, right? And yeah, it was wild, man. And it was just something. She was she was legit. She was an MD. I went to her house and all that, but it made it super, and back then those were like a very, very hot commodity around this area.
Oh yeah.
Everybody wanted to get them. They were worth a lot of money. They were this and that. So, when you're doing that kind of stuff, all I was doing was I was putting this, doing them type of drugs like that. My tolerance was just through the roof. Right. And because I was doing so much of it. So anyway, one day I call her a month ahead of time. She falls off the map. Like I called her, she didn't answer. So I just went down. Her house was empty. So either the
They
feds
got her.
came knocking or something happened. Right.
Yep.
So, to that fact, here I am, an opiate addict that's taken a lot of, and Oxycontin is the synthetic, it's totally clean. It's very strong. Right. So I have this tolerance that it takes, if you don't use, anybody that's never used opiates wouldn't understand, but anybody that's used opiates and know when your body starts to withdraw from it, it's the most horrible thing you can ever imagine. Right. It's coming out from every angle, from every hole. You can't, it's absolutely horrible. Right. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Right. So here I am, doctor falls off the map, and I'm fully addicted to opiates. So where do you think someone that is fully addicted to opiates goes? They go to 7 Mile and John R. Right. And they're going to cop the dog food. Right. It's just inevitable. And I watched it happen to so many people, right? That they start out with the painkillers and they find out that the boy's cheaper, and, but then the thing is not that this drugs are safe, whatever, but then you put in the fentanyl, basically when I was in my full blown addiction, because we're going back, this is 2010, 2000. I got locked up in 2010, is when everything came to a screeching halt and would actually save my life. Was back in 2010. I actually got out in 2013. But so anyways, so when I had to go to the boy, and and it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Here I am, graduated Christian high school, athlete, all this stuff, and 7 years down the line, here I am injecting myself with stuff, right? Like, you know, talk about all-time low, right? So anyway, I started using it intravenously, right? And going down and copping and having the dope man down in Detroit and this and that. Well, one day I go down to cop and my guy isn't available. So he's like, "I gotta be a couple hours." Well, it's not how it works when you don't feel well. So I can't wait. So I go on the other side of town and I ended up copping from somebody else. Well, I believe it's the Holy Spirit, because if I would have done what I normally had done and just hit a corner and or behind somewhere and got busy, I wouldn't be talking to you right now, right? So I'll share this word this day with you, and is absolutely crazy. So I go down, I can't get it. I go to across the town, I end up getting, well, it's this gray stuff, right? So back then, it was the brown stuff, or China white was the biggest stuff going around Detroit. Well, then all of a sudden this gray stuff started popping out and people started asking questions. Hey, what's this? And nobody's like, oh, it's the good stuff. There's the fentanyl cut, da 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 da. So I called my buddy and I was like, hey, dude, what's up with this? He's like, yeah, brother, be real careful. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, dude, be real careful, this and that. So I'm scared, right? So I end up going home. And one thing that Nell and I had as a pact: don't be doing that crap in the house. So I'd usually do it outside of my van. I had a construction van. I did a lot of side roofs and stuff like that. So anyway, that day Danielle was gone with the boys shopping, and I'm like, oh, I'll be able to go inside real quick and take care of business, and before she gets home. Nah, that didn't happen. So Danielle hits the door, and I'm not answering. You know, she said, Jeremy, as soon as you didn't answer that call, dude, I knew something was up. And so she runs in there. And needless to say, at that point, Noah's about 3 years old, and or four, something like 3, 4, and Jeremy's just a 6, 7 months old, dude. She runs in the bathroom, and here my knuckle, my dumb ass is dead, right? And I killed myself, right? And I tell you what, that took the longest time to just reflect because of what I did after the fact, right? That's how strong addiction is, because you can be as far off as you can be, whatever, right? And don't matter the decisions, right? And just be totally addicted. And then something like that happens where you overdose and like not breathing, blue, like rig still in the arm, the whole nine, right? That's how my wife seen me at that time, right? Holding my son, right? And like her husband's dead, right? So she calls, they come there, and basically, to be honest with you, Manny, is by what I hear is they only administer Narcan one time. Especially in that type of situation when you're not responding, you're not breathing, you're gray or blue, all that kind of stuff. So I guess they administered it twice, which I don't even, I don't know the details on that or whatever, but I like to believe that the good Lord breathed life back into me, right? Because after hearing Danielle's story and seeing me that way, so yeah, that was. But the thing is as soon as I come out of that, right? So they, basically when they give you Narcan, you go straight into withdrawal, right? It takes it straight out of your body. So then they take me to the hospital, this and that. The only thing I was concerned about, what's the first thing you think I did when I came out of the hospital? What did I want?
You wanted more.
I wanted, where's my dope at?
As an EMT and as a former officer, when I had the Narcan people, it was at 5 seconds right after the fact where I had to, either fight because you fucked up my buzz, man. You just ruined my high. Well, dude,
Absolutely.
you were dead. You were dead.
You're dead.
No, I got you. The thing that you were thinking of is, okay, how much money do I got? Where do I go?
Exactly. And the thing was, Nell found me that way. And the thing is I would have caught obviously more cases, but Danielle, during that panic, she took care of business, right? Otherwise I would have had a possession, because they wanted to hit me with, they wanted to charge me, but there was nothing to charge me with. So I ended up beating that part of it. But anyway, yeah, it's like, where's it at, right? Because you're at that point, you feel like crap. It don't matter. It just doesn't. You'll do whatever it takes to get it. And there's so many stories, brother, that, as far as during that time, in between those times, before, let's say that time, because when that happened, it was only another few months. And I actually, I'll go ahead and share that story too. So a couple months later, because I didn't obviously stop whatsoever. Couple months later, still living the same crap, I actually, let's see. What was I going to share with that one?
So this here, when she found you in the bathroom,
Yeah.
she called 911. They Narcan you. They get you to the hospital
Yep.
and do the thing. You were probably there, what, 24, 48 hours, if that?
Oh no, not even an hour, dude. As soon as
So
they
once
cleared
you
me,
go
they were
home,
shipping me out. Oh
okay.
yeah. Yeah, they were,
So then,
dude. They took me out in my underwear. They didn't even. And this was the middle of the winter too. So they were trying to be, and that these cops, dude, were like, and I needed it. I needed to hear what they had to say. But these were, dude. They did not pull one punch, dude. I was the dumbest idiot. Every cuss word in the book, right? Look at
oh,
you.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was what I needed to hear. You know, obviously it didn't matter at that point, but looking back at it, you know, you could tell they care. They're sick of what you just said. You're an EMT, sick of seeing these young guys die, right?
Oh, yeah.
And young women everywhere for what, right? Because of some pain or anguish or anxiety or most of the stuff that creates us to use like that or whatever. You're using it as a
So from
band-aid.
when that happened, and okay, they ship you out from the time you OD'd to get to the
Yeah.
hospital. How long was it before you shot up again?
Oh, in the car
Oh, my
On the way.
on the way home. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because like I said, you're in literally, yeah, because you're like shaking. I mean, like already you're ready to puke, and like it literally to where it was super bad. So it's like all you can do is think about getting back to where that was. You know what I mean? Which it doesn't. It takes a day or whatever. Or, you know what I can remember back then. That it took a while. You know what I'm saying? To like a couple days. It affected me a couple days. But anyways, so where I was gonna go with that after is so because that happened that night. I was on probation from when I first told you about moving back up here and the veterinarian clinics and stuff. So
Yep.
obviously, you know how that works. It violates stuff and this and that kind of stuff. So, but there was a case, and I wanted to share this with you because you're a Detroit cop, you were a Detroit cop, and you brought it up on one of your interviews, and you talked about the jump out boys. I don't know if you were out one of them crews that you go around in unmarked cars and cruise around through the hoods or whatever and whatever suspicious vehicles, that type of stuff. I'll try to not get too detailed, but I was going down to pick up one day, and long story short, I come out and I go to leave. Well, this jump out boys see me doing something that I shouldn't be doing, so they ride up on me, and I end up taking them on a good ride, right? And so basically, I ended up making it all the way. I get out of the pickle. It was just absolutely crazy. This was in 2009, 2010. And yeah, so this is over in 6 Mile and DeQuinder area. You know where the Second Ebenezer Church is?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I was back in there, and so basically, I believe that the Detroit cops were getting me back where I wanted to be on the freeway because obviously when they ran my tags, they knew I was from Oakland County. But yeah, they let me, go right back on the freeway. It was crazy. They were stopping traffic and everything, and so anyways, the reason why I want to share that was because after I left, I was picking up a large amount of stuff while I was there. And so I literally call now on the way home and say, honey, dude, I'm going to jail. Like I'm getting chased by the cops right now. And, and she's like, no way. I'm like, yeah. So they ended up getting me back. So they rerouted me because I got onto Davison Freeway. Then I got back off onto Woodward, and then I took Woodward down to 6 Mile again. And then they paved the way all the way back to the viaduct to get me on. They just wanted me to get the heck out of Dodge. You know what I mean? They knew what I was doing. And so anyway, I get out of there. I get all the way up to my neck of the woods, like 19 and 75 there, where what is it? What is that? What is 19 Mile right there? Woodward and sort of Woodward and Telegraph. Woodward and Telegraph area right there. So anyway, so I get
Pontiac?
it leads you into Pontiac, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of I'm drawing a blank on what 19 Miles Road is. What's the name of 19 Mile?
Yeah, tonight, 16, it goes from 16 to Metro to Big Beaver and all that.
Horton,
Then to Maple.
yeah.
I can't,
Yeah. I can't remember. So I get on my way back, and I get off the exit, and I stop at that store. I literally use and I pass out in my car same way that I just shared with you, and I was there for over 3 hours, and nobody ever walked up to the car, called the cops, nothing. And it was so Danielle had called me, like I can't remember the exact number, but it was hundreds and hundreds of times because I'm calling her saying, "Hun, I'm getting pulled over, I'm getting chased, this and that." And so I pull over to let off some steam or whatever I was thinking, right? And yeah, I go out, and yeah, it was a couple 3 hours, and I pulled next. I think what it was is I pulled next to the store, and you couldn't pull on the right side of me. You could only pull on the left, and I had one of those big Chevy Express vans. So it was just by blessings, because again, that amount that I had, if somebody would have just walked up to my car and just called thinking, if they would have seen me that way, they would have thought I was overdosing or whatever. And then that would have been major charges, dude, 10 to 20 years in prison. Right. So that was like that event there is what revoked my probation and landed me back. So they came up and extradited me because when I caught my case down there, Michigan, because I lived in Michigan, they were supervising me for Tennessee, basically. So when all that was violated, I had to do the original 3-year sentence. So they extradited me down to Tennessee. I had to squash the couple counties that they were in, and then I could do my time. And in Tennessee, it's kind of like the work camps in Michigan. If you're a nonviolent offender, whether it's drugs or whatever, right? Nothing that's nonviolent, you can actually go to a work camp, or down there it's called a justice center. And you go to so basically the county jails in Tennessee, a lot of them, they house state, federal, and county inmates in one facility. And as long as that you're sentenced, you can actually work down there. And you work for the recycling plant, and you work for the city. You cut grass, and you're like a free, you walk around with stripes and a shirt on, but they work at all your inmates as long as you're sentenced and you're nonviolent or whatnot. So in 2010, it was August 6, 2010, I was extradited back down to Marshall County, where I originally caught my case, and for a 3-year sentence, which it comes towards you. So every day you work, one comes off the back end. So basically, you work your sentence towards you. So I ended up only doing 28 only, but anything more than a day isn't too much. But I ended up doing 29 and a half months, something like that. Almost 30 months is what I did. I would have got out a little sooner, but I got in a little not scuffle, but we were into, in the work camp I was in, we were making hooch, and we ended up getting cracked for it. So it ended up, they laid us down, and it took my out date further out, I needed more time. The more I look at it now is, as I was getting out, and when God was really pushing and pressing on me, and because that was another good thing about incarceration down there, because most people either go in, get locked up, and they either have rehabilitation on their mind, or you go in with a this, and you come out this, or you learn a new craft or a new way to hustle or a new way to do this, because career criminals, and as met many just like I have, it's hard for them to get jobs, as felons and things of that nature. And that's we'll get into that in a little bit, and how I'm at, or how I got my job, right? Because obviously getting out of prison, I had 2 felonies on my record, and and that's the first thing they look at, you know what I'm saying, is but to back up a little bit, yeah, Tennessee was able, the pods and the fellowship that I had, and just the stories. I think the best thing that worked for me, Manny, is that to see these guys. So just like in Michigan, if you catch county case or county time, you do that county time after you do your stretch, right? So these guys doing 15, 18-year stretches, when they come home, they come do their county time, which it gives them time actually to get into a program, because most of them don't have a way to get there, right? You get $100 in a bus pass or whatever it is. I don't know what it is now, but you don't really have a lot of resources to help you. So in my mind, I think it's a blessing. These guys, they did 18 years. Who wants to go do 6 months at the county, right? And but it helps you get to where you need to be in all reality, because a lot of folks don't have a family. Most guys that have been locked up that long, or they've burnt their bridges or whatnot, they need that assistance or whatever. So it gave me that couple extra months. I was supposed to get out in November. I ended up getting out December 3rd, 2013. And I needed that little bit of time. And because when I had a job offer, it was crazy, is at that point, Danielle and I weren't actually thinking about continuing our marriage at that. There was a short period, but they had offered me a job down there. So it was kind of crazy, because I was a trustee at the at the jail, at the police station. So the county jail was here, the police station was across the street. So my job was, they would, an officer would pick me up in the Sally Port, take me across the street, and all I did was wash cop cars for like 7 months right before I got out. And I was by myself. I had plenty of free weights there. They treated me like a human being. Up here in Michigan, it's hard to find. Some of these CEOs are dirty, man.
yeah.
It's like, wow. I go down to Tennessee and it's like, wow, they treat me like just a normal dude. You know, they'd bring me breakfast and monsters and all kind of stuff. So, but it gave me that time, man, to really know what, and let God pour into me. Like, what are you going to do when you get out of here, bro? Like, you know, your kids and raising your, you know, sons and all this, you know, your responsibilities in life. So when I first got out, they offered me a job. I was going to move back down there. Well, I did. I moved back down there. Well, within like a couple weeks, the Lord spoke to Danielle and I both, and it's like, no, you guys. So I was on the first thing smoking, and then it's just been all blessings from that day forward. Basically, you know, we've Nell and I have we've been through a couple different churches. We moved around a little bit, but the man that blessed me and looked over me while I was locked up we ended up going to their church when we got out, and then really pouring into us, and that good mentorship, just getting out and needing somebody, because my old life was, you know, not necessarily like extreme, that crazy story I just said about,
Yeah.
you know, intravenously using drugs and that, but just the drinking and smoking, you know, that's just been our whole lives, you know, as Danielle and I, our whole family. Every time we're getting together, everybody's drinking, smoking, you know, not doing nines or nothing. It's just normal to drink beers and smoke weed, right? That's just everybody that does it. So when you come home and you're trying to be clean and sober, that's tough, right? And then people get butt hurt because you don't want to be around them, and it's like, no, dude, it's not you, you know what I mean? Or it's, you know, I don't want to put myself into them positions or whatnot, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, because you can't, you know, it's otherwise it's harder, it's a lot harder if you're trying to live a clean life, you know.
And you know, it is too, because a lot of people are going to be throwing stuff at you when it comes to that. What works for them and what works for you. And you know, I've always said with my Fight Our War, man, we're never going to sit there and tell you, you know, you have to do this, and if you don't do what I do, you're going to fail. If you don't do this program, you're going to relapse and all that stuff. But the one thing, like hearing what you said, is getting out is having a plan, and you know,
Oh, wow.
and going forward with that, and like for you, having these people that the way you were treated and the respect that you had for yourself first and foremost coming out and knowing that you were going to make a change, man. I mean, there's a big difference, because you know, as addicts, we are such good bullshit manipulators. We will twist
Oh,
the
yeah.
story inside out, upside down.
Absolutely.
So, you know, with all this going on, man, with you, I mean, and Danielle stuck with you through all this time.
Angel.
2 little
Oh, yeah.
kids. I mean, you
Oh,
can't,
yeah.
you talk about true love and someone meant to be. That's just amazing. With all the other things going on, man, you know, when you got out, what was it that made you not go back to wanting that needle right off the bat? What was it that, you know, was it Danielle? What was it that was different this time?
See, with me is like you're saying, the manipulation and everything that was to where I would say what I would say to get what I needed, and the excuses of, well, I'm a roofer, I'm this, you know. Well, when you're incarcerated for that long, you know what I mean? You can't really use that excuse no more. And I guess unless you had access to that type of stuff in there, right? So my body was able to not be reliant on that such a strong narcotic, right? And you know, when I got out, it was like, you know, the same thing, wanting to, you know, have beers or drink, you know, smoke and this type of stuff. And because I had still dealt with back pain, I still do today. When I fell, they actually said, dude, you know, for being a young guy, you have all kinds of arthritis in your hips. And my parents, my mom has rheumatoid arthritis, and there's a lot of different things in my family where it's, you know, as I get older, you know, I'm
Oh,
only
sure.
43, but falling the way that I did, you know, it's, you know, I'm going to have to look into it. I wake up with hip pain, and we'll get into some of that, what I use in the CBD, and there's alternative things out there other
Yeah.
than opiates and things like that, right? Because like you're saying, like to me, brother, I've seen so much pain and anguish and losing so many people, and I had knew better. Like that's why I started out with the Christian heritage, and that what was instilled in me was like I had this relationship with God. I had seen, you know, I had felt the move of the Holy Spirit even back then, right? And just the people that were around me. So it was more like I had turned my back just because of my own desires. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like they talk about iniquity in the Bible, and that's like knowing that you're doing is wrong and you just keep doing it type of thing, but no, that was with me. It was just that I did, the way God spoke to me when I was incarcerated was just crazy, through his word, and just, man, what I wasn't going to do. And that was, even if Nell and I weren't going to get back together, is just being a dad, being there for my kids, and always being, those are my responsibilities, whether it's child support or living close or whatever. But just all the things that have happened, though, brothers, from through the years, and the divine appointments that's happened through my wife, and the move of prayer, and praying for certain things and watching it unfold. Like right now, I'm sitting in my prayer closet, dude. And when we bought this house, it was a gun room, and it's literally a 6x12 room, the size of a jail cell. And we both were inspired to have somewhere to come down and just be alone with God, right, and just have our own spot, and it's amazing. Like, here, I'll try to pan around a little bit, but
Well,
we all this the whole room. Yeah, like
well,
we got a prayer
yeah.
board
Well,
and all this.
people got their different rooms, their man caves, the
Yeah,
she shed, and all this other stuff. So you need your place
absolutely,
to get away, and
absolutely, brother.
great with all that. And the big thing, I know with a lot of people is sharing everything that we've got. And we've been talking about that too, as far as sharing and getting that message out. And and those are things that we have to do. But as we both know, first and foremost, man, we got to take care of us. And as far as like taking care of you, what are you doing right now to make sure that you don't slip? I mean, you're obviously your relationship with God and all that stuff,
Oh
but
yeah. Mhm.
that's first and foremost with you to keep you on track. What are you doing now as far as like you and your wife or your brothers that you're with now? What's what's it like right now with your day-to-day things that you got going on?
All right. So God called me to ministry several years ago. Nell and I were members of Gateway Assembly here in town, or here in Emily City. But no, let's see. In 2019, God called me to ministry, and this is where the MC community comes in, an MC world. I've grown up wanting to rip around on dirt bikes my whole life, and I did rip around dirt bikes, and always looked up to, not looked up, but I enjoyed that power sports, that type of stuff. And then we've had cousins and friends that were around the motorcycle club world, and I found it out more further, and that I asked and talked around, where more people learned about me and what I'm doing now. But no, in 2019, I believe it was 2020, right around the COVID era or whatever, I started riding with Least of Saints Motorcycle Club. I believe you actually, they did a bike blessing over there, and at Wolverine Harley last summer, I believe.
They did. They
And
were
I
at
think you and
Wolverine Harley. They had a area set up. They were blessing bikes for blessing of the bikes, and
Amen.
um, Mighty Mouse Carpenter.
Mighty Mouse, yeah.
Mighty
Carpenter,
Mouse
Carpenter,
and Carpenter
Carpenter's the president, yeah.
and yep,
Yep.
and the Mighty Mouse was the first one that I met.
Okay. Yeah.
And,
He came. I think he's came since I've left. But
yep,
yeah, Carpenter. I think you said you brought him up too.
yep, he was
Yep.
there, and they were nice enough to they found out who I was. They found out who I rode with. I rode the Highwaymen. We had some conversation, and they were doing amazing things as well. And
Amen. Yeah.
you spent time with
Yeah,
them.
yeah. So I'll share that with you. So yeah, I rode with altogether like 3 years. When I actually had to step away, I was actually an essay at that time. No, we so back, if you remember, when they were doing all the stuff with the vaccine and all that stuff, I wasn't going to take it, right? So my company was going to force it. So we were at a point where we were ready to buckle down and sell everything basically. So to be in a motorcycle club, you have to have a motorcycle. So basically, we were kind of in a situation that was like, we just got to remove anything that's outgoing as far as bills, because my wife's a homemaker. The job I have is it's a huge blessing. Basically write our own paycheck where I'm at, as far as with overtime, as much as I want or as little as I want. And not right this moment. We're about to go into March Madness at my job, but so anyway, that was a blessing for us to be able to only have me gone and working. You know what I mean? So where was I going with this? You got me.
With riding with Lisa Saints and stuff
Oh,
you were
Lisa
doing with
Saints.
them.
Okay, so yeah, so basically, I was a sitting officer at the point, and I just had to take a hiatus there for a while, and I didn't end up planning on getting another bike, so I kind of stepped away because I wasn't able to continue on. I love all them brothers over there. Brother Spoon's the VP, I believe, and Gnome, and a lot of them guys were just coming in as we actually went to my church. They came out, and when they first got their flash, when they first got introduced as prospects to the club, it was amazing. Fabio was his name, and Gnome, and there's a couple other guys. I'm drawing a blank right now, but yeah, I love them brothers. I love what they're doing. In their ministry and out here ministering to bikers and street people, at-risk youth, that type of folks, and the addicted, and yeah, we've got some crazy stories with them guys. Just things that happened while we were riding together. When I was first introduced to the clubs, maybe we'll have another show down the road and we can get into that. So, but no, that's what I'm in actually ministry. I'm actually affiliated with a couple other, my brother Jay Rowe at Third Day Warriors is an online ministry. I got another brother, Rapture Ready, that they do a lot of stuff with the Celebrate Recovery. That's in the CHH. That's kind of where your Skylar Ray, I know they do a lot of stuff in the Celebrate Recoveries and things of that nature. But no, God just called us to ministry, Manny. That's what we're out here doing. We do a lot of ministry behind the scenes, ministering to new couples or Danielle. So we keep it like I minister to men, Danielle ministers to the women things. We're more of the where people can reach out to after the fact, right? Once they've given their heart and the zeal wears off, we're here to help folks out, to help build integrity, if you will. So no, I really want to go into a little bit more as far as where the ministry that I'm currently in, but we'll have to touch base with that. We kind of talked in the green room about that type of stuff, but God's moving, and if you know, it is. It's just how it has to be. I kind of wanted to share some more with that. Maybe next time, here in the near future, we can actually get on, and I can share a lot more to do with that. Because I also I go into the jails here in Lapeer County. I actually tried for many years and had trouble. The jail administrator wouldn't let me in because of my background. So recently, I have a brother that became the chaplain over there. And because it's been so long, 15 plus years since I've been in trouble or had any run-ins with the law, they reconsidered. So, excuse me, starting a few weeks ago, I got to go into the jail. I get to go into each pod and minister to these brothers. It's just, it's so awesome, bro. And yeah, it's amazing. And it brought back a lot of memories, walking in there. I was almost turned around. I felt goofy, because just it's been so many years and the smell never changes. I don't care what jail you've ever been in, they all smell the same. And just to see guys where I once was, and to be able to sit down and just see how they embrace me, because I'm not just the average pastor looking dude. You know what I mean? Like I come in with a beard down to my belly button and you know what I mean? Like dressed like a biker, right? And they're like, who is this dude? All these other guys that go in there are, they're pastors or preachers. And they're dressed a little more like that, basically. So, but no, it's so needed.
And with just that is what you said. You walk in there and you're going to get the reaction. Someone else, and God bless them, the preachers, the chaplains, the pastors, everyone who walks in, God bless them. But they're walking there, with their stuff. But just like for me, when I started my Friday Night War, first thing I said was, listen, I am not a life coach. I'm not a counselor. I don't have degrees on the wall. I don't have diplomas. What I am is one of you. What I am is not going to judge you. I am not going to bully you. I'm not going to, there's going to be no shaming going on here. Mm-hmm. I'm one of you, and what we're going to do is we're going to share. We're going to share, and we're going to, see what works best for you. And do I know exactly how you feel? No, but I know the feelings that you're having. How you deal with them, how I deal with them are all different. But Jeremy, we got a ton of shit that we're going to be talking about. But
yeah, absolutely.
The time here that we got, that's why I said from the start of this is going to be a series. This is not going to be just tonight, because we're already right now just a tad bit. We're over a little bit, but now, but I still want to just cover a little bit more on what you're doing locally, Because so you just started now going into the jails? You just got okayed, not just recently, to start doing this?
Yeah, right here in Macomb County, with another ministry that I rock with. The goal is, Manny, is to get into the prisons. And we've got the one in Saginaw and then Thumb Correctional right here. We actually hooked up with who we need to hook up with. And we just got to do our background checks and all that kind of stuff. Because what my real vision is to get these guys in these programs, right? And the vision is to help these guys get jobs, right? So local blue collar, whether it's plumbing companies, landscaping companies, machine shops, whatever it might be, that'll give a felon a second chance, right? And it would be stipulations, right? They get 90 days unless they're dying. They lose their opportunity, right? If they really want a job and they get out and they prove themselves, so where we can get these guys transportation, maybe line them up with different things. But it takes, because when you're in these programs at the end, it's the last 18 months or 2 years or whatever, that they can kind of get involved. So they have somewhere to go, right? Because the God told me a while back, bro, is the spiritual leader. We are as men, we are the spiritual leaders of our families. And if we're not there from whatever reason, fill in the blank, then that's that much harder on the family. Yeah, can the wives do it? Yeah, they've been doing it forever. But does it raise the family or the son or a man how he's supposed to have mom and dad at home? You know what I mean? I know that's not always the case, and nothing against single moms. I love you single moms out there. Don't take me the wrong way. But what I'm meaning is that to get dad back at the house, man, and it's, I see it, especially now going back into the jails, is I'm looking at them, right? And they're hungry, right? They are. I mean, these guys are attentive. They're sitting down with their word. They're asking the right questions. And so, yeah, that's the actual vision, brother, is to help these guys re-enter society.
See, and that's what it has, man, about giving back. I had a guy tell me one time, give me shit about how he had a family member who was dealing with addiction, and he just starts rambling about addicts and just being selfish, weak, self-centered motherfucker, just going on and on and on. And I sat there, and he forgot all about me as we're talking, that you just described me. And I was like, and then he goes, well, I didn't mean. I go, listen, man, I agree with you. During active addiction, everything you just said, yeah, you're right. Dealing with active addiction, that's exactly what we are. We don't care about anything. We are selfish. We are weak. We are all that. But when you're dealing with someone in recovery, you are looking at some of the strongest people. We are part of an elite fraternity when it comes to dealing with recovery now, because now we're just flip-flopped. And, when it comes to, especially guys, it's obviously addiction doesn't discriminate, but you got to check the ego at the door, man. Reach out. And for you and your brothers and stuff that you ride with and that you're doing ministry with and everyone else, God bless you for what you're doing, because, you're helping so many people, and it's by they're relating to you, man. They see you walk in and they're like, nothing against the other guys, like I said, but you make it more relatable. They're like, listen, man, this guy knows what I'm going through and he's not judging me. And he's giving me this opportunity, man. So, I mean, it's just amazing. And these opportunities, they're at their last couple opportunities they may be getting. So God bless you for doing it. And, and like I said, we are kind of cutting, time here a little bit. But before we end this for this time, I know that there were some people that meant a lot to you on the list.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that something that you want to?
Yeah, we'll share these ones, because I actually, because I know there's more, and I said, I've been, we're going on 15 years, and I've lost contact with a lot of folks, and so these are the ones that I could remember off. There's probably another handful that maybe next time we chat we'll bring them up as well, but they lost, right, and so I think in the name and the honor of us now, all of us, right, that's why we do it, right, because we're able to do it ultimately, right. And I tell you what, an encouraging and an uplifting word, and to see someone like what we'll touch maybe last time, is just how I was able to secure the job that I have with the background, right, and the things that needed to happen to get there, right, to eventually being able to buy a home and start a side hustle and all these awesome things, entrepreneurship, and the trajectory that my wife and I are on, as far as just with our side hustle. Like we make some really cool stuff as far as the 3D wood stuff. I got something here, but anyway, maybe next time we'll share that with you. But
You know what,
hard
Jeremy,
work pays off.
just to think about looking back and just seeing your smile as you were just talking about what you have right now, you and your wife, the things that you're doing. Just think, if someone would have told you after they got you out of the bathroom in your underwear with,
Yeah.
carted you outside into the ER, into the snow and all that stuff, if someone would have whispered into your ear that day, you know what, Jeremy, down the road here, you're going to be ministering people. You're going to have a loving family, and your kids, you're going to be part of their lives. You're going to be doing this, this, and this. You would have been bullshit. All I want is
Yeah,
another needle in
absolutely.
my arm. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's again, this is a testament to you and to
Yeah.
God above and the faith that we have, man. So, I mean,
Yeah.
these people that this list, are these unfortunately the ones who lost the battle?
Yeah, so the beginning of the first one I'll bring up is Josh Duckett. He was the one that we graduated together, or actually he graduated a year before me. He's the man. I worked for his mom. She had the dog groomer. He went at 25 years old. I don't remember the dates. I waited. I procrastinated too long. So that's my fault. I wanted to get I can't find some of these folks, and I wanted a little bit more detail. But yeah, bro, he 25 years old. You know, it's just sad. It really is. And then shortly before him, I had two friends that I was literally hanging out with all night long, and they actually had a lot of my stuff with them, and I was waiting for them to return to where I was at, and they wrecked, and they both died on their way home. Actually, there was three of them in the car, and their names are, I don't know their last names, but Stephanie and Andy in Tennessee. And then recently, the past few years ago, is Chris Goring. He's like family to me. My cousin has one son. Her oldest son is with him, or was with Chris. And then my buddy Ghani, Alex Gontroff was his name. He didn't actually die from the overdose. I think he actually unalived himself due to that. I haven't heard the details, but him and I were like thick as thieves there for a while. And then my cousin Melissa Quino, she passed. I'm again on a date not too long, a couple years ago. Same thing, opiates, same things that I was involved in, and she was only like 46 years old, left behind two sons. And then not too long ago, a kid that I graduated with, went to school with, Brandon Thompson. And then Cindy Brooks was her name. She's from Oxford area. We're real close to the family, around my family. Shagina, her name is Cindy Shagina Brooks, but everybody knows her as Brooks, or Cindy Brooks. And then a young man that it hit my wife right before I come down. His name was Warren Borsick. Manny, when I tell you that he was the kid that you see these movies about, that the government comes and convinces them to come work for them because for like hacking and stuff like that. This kid was, back before you could do crazy stuff like you hear about that these hackers are doing. This kid could do it, right? He was like one of the smartest kids in the world, and he focused all of his stuff on criminal stuff, and then ended up becoming getting all these different drugs offline from different countries, and ended up, I'm not really sure exactly the whole story behind it, but yeah, he passed away at a very young age as well. So yeah, just lifting all these names up, just make us think, you know what I'm saying? Keep us fighting, so we're not one of them names.
And that's just it too. And we talked earlier a little bit about and you said it, and a lot of the stories I share with people on the show, and because people will always say, well, my story's not as exciting or as out there or as intense, or my story isn't this. Well, no, they're not, because it's your story. But when it comes down to it, man, the feelings that we all share are the same. And that pain, that loneliness, that sorrow, the regret, the disappointment in ourselves, we all know what we're talking about. I remember trying to talk to and telling some people about what it's like. And for me, my own personal experience was, picture like the anger and all that is the deepest, darkest, the most evil spot that you can imagine, getting deeper, darker, colder, tighter, more evil by the second. And that's what it is. That's what it was for, like, consuming. And then it doesn't end. And it just, this feeling that you'll do anything to get out of it. And
Amen.
like you also brought up the our why us. And for me, my brother Jerry, when I crawled into that hospital bed here at McLaren Hospital, held him as he took his last breath, looked at my brothers that I went to school with, and saying to them, "What a way to die." Fast forward a few years later, there I am laying in there. And same thing like you said, why them? Why not me? And why not me and why not you is because of this right here, because of
I
your
agree.
story, because where you're sitting right now and where I'm sitting right now. And
Amen.
and this is just the beginning, Jeremy. We have a lot more to talk about. What we'll do is
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna we'll set something up maybe for the next. I've got a lot of free time right now going on with my issues, my situation. I'll get a hold of you tomorrow, and we'll look
Okay.
at your schedule. And it won't be a Monday because Mondays we've got guests lined up for, but it'll be
Oh, yeah.
a different day during the week. It'll either be like a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or something like that. But
Okay.
it'll be like within a very short time, like within the next week or so, because
Okay.
I want to keep this fresh. I don't want to do it
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I don't want to wait,
Till
another
June. Yeah.
month, 2 months down the line, and then bring it back again. So I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
like
yeah.
within the next few days.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah, yeah,
get this
for
wrapped
sure.
up, and we'll pick up
Oh, yeah.
on the next part of this.
Very good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
Especially
again,
people listening in and just other avenues, like you were saying, as far as the jobs and other things of that nature, right? Groups or
everything.
support groups, all of it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
The options that you have, the things that you're now
Yeah, yeah,
blessed with that you can offer
yeah.
people. So we want
Amen.
to bring that out too as well. So like I said,
Yeah.
it'll be within the next few days. We'll get on here to the series part 2. And you know what? The thing
Mhm.
is, there is until addiction is gone for good, this series of shows doesn't end. It just keeps going until like I always said, until we can beat addiction back to hell where it belongs.
Amen. Amen to that.
But
That's what it is, too.
but Jeremy,
That's
I
what it
really
is.
do. I'm so happy and appreciate you coming on. I'm so glad that you saw
Thank
that
you.
that interview with me and Ian, and
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
got this whole thing started. And
Yeah.
Meant to be.
That's crazy. Crazy how
see,
small this world is, bro. The internet makes
and
it so
then
small.
then who I rode with, and then the connection there.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but
Oh, yeah.
like I said, we'll be planning on the next show probably being within the next couple of days. We're going to do it again, and
Okay.
we're going to continue on. So
Sounds good.
that's it.
All righty.
There's too many people that need help, and you've got too much information.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody that's listening tonight, even, I don't have any platforms that you can go to other than Jeremy Ross on Facebook. If anybody hit me in the messenger, I'm good with the DMs or whatever. And again, if you're a female, my wife's Danielle Ross. You're more than welcome. She's definitely willing to take anybody,
Excellent.
See,
that needs
Excellent.
to talk.
and that's huge. But that was my next thing I was going to say is I always tell people if you got something or a platform to go to, hit it up. So, but you just did. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go, folks, man. You heard him. Hit him up. Hit his wife up.
Yeah, hit us up.
And
Yeah.
you know what? The thing is, reach out. It's okay, man. Addiction is not
Yeah.
taboo. Addiction's a word.
Closed
It's
mouth
not a
don't
bad
get
thing.
fed, right?
Exactly, man. So, all right, my brother. Well, I tell you.
All right, brother. I appreciate you
love
guys.
you, man.
God bless you. Have a good night.
And
Good night.
I will be hitting you up tomorrow, and we'll get
Sounds
ready
good.
for the next one. All right, you take
Sounds
care.
good. All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right.
Oh, quite a story.
Man, I tell you what, as soon as I talked to him a couple days ago when we started talking,
Mhm.
I knew that, when he said all this stuff, I go, there's no way. There's no way this is going to fit into one show.
Yeah.
He has got so much. And he goes, listen, man, he goes, I go all over the place. I go, so do the people who are listening. I said,
Mhm.
that's who you're talking to. You're not talking to the average person without any issues. We can relate.
Mhm.
So you're talking to Blender Brain himself here. So I got you. But all you guys that were commenting. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And OG's been tearing it up as always. I saw all you see over there is
So
her
I'm
going
typing
like
and saying
this.
hi and
You see the
whatever.
top of her hat,
Yeah.
and then you see this. So I saw by all the stuff over here.
Mhm.
Daryl, I've seen a lot of your stuff. Thank you, Daryl. Gary,
Cousin Tony,
um,
Tyler,
Kalisha,
Alicia, Karen,
and yeah, Tyler, Karen.
Felicity,
I saw, yep, Karen. Who else?
Gary
There's Karen.
Kaiser,
Marla,
DJ Bobby Boom,
DJ Bobby Boom, and there's Marla, Felicity,
Sheila, Leroy was on.
Leroy.
Our,
Man, Leroy,
our
I've been
brother
trying.
Leroy.
I don't know, playing phone tag with old Leroy there.
That's
He
okay.
called, I called, he texted, I text, he called. Been trying to get a hold of you. Again, Marla, everybody,
James Holder,
everyone who was watching,
Sheila.
Sheila, everybody. And for, like I said, for some reason, whatever reason that is, the names that I'm looking at right now on the side of the monitor here are, you know, what OG sees, but she also sees a lot more because she'll be sitting here talking about a post, and I'm like, what are you looking at? She goes, it's right there. And I look, and I don't have it on mine. So I'm not ignoring anybody. If I don't happen to say your name on here because it's not on the post on the monitor for whatever.
He still loves you.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it's showing up on the phone, but it's
Yeah.
not showing up here on the
Screen.
the screen for the monitor. But they will be answered. If you have any questions, of course, OG's got them for you. And if anything needs to be that I can help with, obviously hit me up, as well as Jeremy.
Pretty
for
much just
today's
positive
conversation.
positive affirmations for him.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I mean,
positive
he
statements,
told
good
me
energy.
he's got so much going on, and you can tell, and that's why it was decided that this is going to have to go into
More than just
more
one.
than one show, because I don't want to, like I told him at the beginning, and like I tell everyone, I don't, your story is your story. Everyone's story doesn't end in 45 minutes or an hour or an hour and a half or whatever it may be. So it needs to be told. It needs to be told the right way, respectfully, and with the dignity and everything that goes along with it. So that's how Jeremy's will be as well. So really appreciate you guys and all your comments, and definitely please keep an eye out, because I'll be putting a shout out for when myself and Jeremy will be coming back on again. So until then, you guys have a great night, and don't forget this Wednesday, Music and Mayhem with my brother Skylar Ray.
Yay,
And
Skylar.
as of now, it's going to be me, Skylar Ray, and OG here, unless we have another
3 of my favorite people
guest pop up. So you
Yeah,
never know. You just never know. So all right, guys. Again, thank you so much. And remember, man, if someone is out there, you're having a hard time or anything, man, just reach out. Check your ego at the door, man. It's okay. No one's going to judge you here. We are family here. And if you know somebody, please reach out to them. Don't assume that someone else is going to do it. Or if you think that someone's having a problem, don't just say, well, I wasn't sure. Because the last thing I want anyone is living with regrets by all of a sudden getting a phone call that person is no longer here because of an overdose or whatever the case may be. And then here you're like, man, I thought there was something going on, but I wasn't sure. If there's something going on in your mind where you think that there's a problem, there's a problem. So please reach out and just do what you can. So you guys have a great night, and love you. Keep fighting a good fight.